Hello, everybody, and welcome to the greatest fucking show on the internet, the Spaz Out podcast. I know you've been waiting. And we are here to deliver. I am your handsome, gifted, everything, good at everything host, Caleb King. And right next to me in real life, I have Christopher McCauley.
Hey, what's up? That's me.
Christopher McCauley.
Yeah, that's me.
And I have Christopher McCauley.
Hey, what's up? That's me.
We don't have that many Chris's on the show. Howdy, I'm Robbie Bland, also here on the show.
And we also have Robbie Bland.
Yeah, that's me. Howdy.
And we also have Christopher McCauley.
Hey, what's up? That's me.
He is in person this time, so maybe it won't be interrupting Chris the podcast.
I won't be interrupting Chris the It feels good, doesn't it?
So this is episode 5 of the podcast. Special thanks to Faith from our last episode. She did a great job. Hopefully we'll have some more guests in the future. Also, we put up the Caesar Show just a few weeks ago. The Caesar Show is doing great right now. Thank you for the response on that. Hopefully we'll have more of those out soon. And with that said, Caleb, start us off on the next episode here.
Okay. Now enough of Robbie sucking your dicks. Right? We're getting into some real hard-hitting shit. And so strap up your straps and get ready.
Oh my God.
Because we are getting into... Oh, I didn't mean that as a gun joke. I just meant like...
All right, well, he's a chimp. So I'll edit that out. No, we're not. No more interrupting Chris the podcast.
No.
All right, so we're going to get into this episode, and we're going to talk about the aftermath and the circumstances surrounding the Florida Parkland shooting.
Is it called the shooting or the massacre?
It's a massacre for all intents and purposes.
What's your agenda?
No, we'll talk about that too.
I'm sorry, I wasn't at the mic. To preface, we've already tried to do a podcast over this, but the audio was absolute shit, and we also recorded it the day after. Thanks to Caleb's idea for that. So
yeah, we recorded it the day after the Florida shooting,
and we actually made some predictions back then.
Some pretty good predictions, and
we'll talk about those as we continue onwards in this episode, but mostly, now that we have more facts and more information, we're going to be talking about the shooting in retrospect, what went wrong, what could be done better, and what are the problems with, I guess, radicalizing a tragedy like this, as happens so often nowadays in the media.
One thing I want to say is that, just to jump us into the topic, right? So I'm gonna give a little general wrap up, right? So that all of our points can be what's the word? The word for real.
Fuck, what was I saying?
For the word for realization, but reflection. So all of our words can be reflected upon. So kid, annoying ass kid from what the interviews have said. It's in a high school, and we all know an annoying kid like that bothers everybody. But it's also a little bit of an outcast because nobody likes him because he's annoying. You know what I'm saying? Don't look at me like that. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
What are you trying to say right now?
Okay,
we're talking about a school shooting, and
yes.
you're going on this tangent about a fucking annoying kid.
Yeah,
as if that's the only reason this happened is because he's a fucking annoying kid.
I never said that. I never said he's just that's the only reason. I'm saying that he's just an annoying kid.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm giving a little.
So let's move on from that
skirt.
point. He's an annoying kid.
Okay, I was just saying. Jesus Christ.
Has a lot of problems in his life. And
you're a fucking idiot, honestly.
Yes, he was.
So
yes.
So, anyways, he is able to walk into this high school with a AR-15 that he purchased because he was 18 at the time, right? Was he 18 or 19?
19.
He was 19. I thought he was 19. Nicholas Cruz was his name.
I prefer not to say his name, but that is his name. Yeah.
It's like Voldemort.
Okay.
So Nicholas Cruz walks into this high school with an AR-15, pulls a fire alarm. They all walk outside. They come back in. He pulls a fire alarm again, right? And then
no, they had a fire drill earlier in the day,
yes.
and this was the second time they heard the fire alarm, and most kids were concerned because it was only a few minutes before the bell to go home.
Yeah.
He had come like right at the end of the day there.
Okay.
And pulled the fire alarm. Everyone's kind of walking out, ready to go, and that's when it happened.
So Nicholas Cruz opens fire on the children, the students. He kills at least 17 people. And then in a really just ridiculous series of events, he manages to kill all of these people, and then he flees a huge distance away from the school before even being caught and apprehended by the police, which is absolutely a ridiculous failure by the police system.
He discarded his weapon, and he walked out of the school with everyone else who was involved. All the other kids that were at the school that day.
After he shot a bunch of people, he changed his clothes, right?
I believe he did change his clothes, but I haven't been able to find the resources on that.
He had time to change his clothes, leave the building, get some fucking food or something, and start walking home.
Yeah, because the cops had the thing all quarantined for a while before they let anyone out.
Yeah.
Speaking of police and their failures, the police that were stationed on campus at the school waited outside as the shooting was occurring and did nothing. They just stood outside the school and let it happen.
Yeah, the police system was an absolute joke at this shooting. You can talk what you want about like the gun control, and we will talk about that for sure. But one of the biggest problems in this entire situation was the law enforcement at the high school did absolutely nothing to prevent this situation.
That's exactly what I want to talk about, because even in the deleted episode, which I'm pretty sure I would have gotten shit for if we were posted that like the day after, people would call me retarded, because the two arguments are either mental health or gun control, and again they take like a big gray area topic and they'll bring it down to one factor. So they'll either say gun control or they'll either say mental health. But
Chris, do you remember the tweet you read for that? Because that was a really relevant tweet.
that was a really relevant tweet.
I read a tweet on the deleted episode. It was from a guy named Thorin. He basically just talked about how people take really complex and nuanced issues and boil it down to one thing just so they can radicalize it for their one agenda. And that's exactly what's happened this entire time.
It happens every time.
Everyone.
This isn't a new thing. It happens every time. And so there's those two arguments, but my argument was that we can't do much for either of those because we already do so much.
And there's already stuff in place that would have prevented this shit from happening.
Because
the police visited this kid's house 39 times.
Yeah.
They knew who he was. He was expelled from the school for disciplinary reasons. The FBI knew about him. The FBI had reports and calls about him and did nothing.
Yeah, I think that
this wasn't.
There's like so many different angles that you could attack the situation from. There were failures with the law enforcement. There was failures with the FBI. There was failures with the school. There were so many things went wrong that day, and that's what makes the situation so incredibly tragic. But it also makes it incredibly annoying that people are trying to boil this down to one issue or the other because it's not possible to do that.
It's not a lack of protocol. The protocol is there. It's the lack of the execution, which we're not going. We shouldn't add protocols to something where there's already protocols for, because that would just make like situations more strict, and that's not what the U.S. is about. The U.S. is about freedom. We have the protocols there for protection. We are not executing them. So whenever I'm saying there's not much that can be done for gun control, I'm saying the age should have been raised to 21, which we said in the first episode, and that's what's like happening right now.
Yeah.
Right?
So like to give you some context on that, maybe you guys can see it as bonus content one day. But on the episode, we were just freshly reacting to all the details. But one of the things that we talked about was we need to make it more difficult for people to get their hands on assault weapons. This is directly related to gun control. People who are either below the age of 21, so we suggested raising the gun age up to 21, and we also suggested trying to find ways to better screen and identify unstable people who shouldn't have guns. Now, we're not talking about like segmenting off society or labeling people. That's not what we mean. We're just saying that there are definitely measures we can do to make this issue safer. We can do better than we've done. And one of the things we did suggest was raising the gun age to 21. That's also something that Trump and other members of Congress have talked about. So the things that we talked about are relevant and are happening right now, which I think was cool to see, because we did this before we even heard any of the auxiliary details afterwards.
So the other point that I wanted to make is that little can be done for gun control. So they're doing the age of the 21 thing, whatever.
And we also agree that, I mean, the more gun laws that you put in place, and the more you try to take guns away, there's already so many guns in the American market. So many people have firearms already that by trying to limit or control who has guns, we're just going to end up having a war on guns similar to the war on drugs or fucking prohibition.
We'll talk about the war on drugs in a future episode, but if this becomes similar to that, it's going to be absolutely absurd. Like, the war on drugs is already a massive failure. I don't even want to talk about that right now because that's ridiculously bad, but we're going in that direction with gun control right now and mental health, and that's really scary. Because trying to crack down on guns, there are preventative measures. We can definitely do so much better on this topic. But if we call guns public enemy number one, as Richard Nixon did with drugs, then believe me when I say there will be plenty of problems that we can't even predict or foresee right now that are going to arise because of this.
Okay, so the point that I wanted to say was that little could be done for gun control. But the problem, I'm not saying, again, it's a huge gray area, right? But the problem for this issue, I said last time, if you did make it a little bit more restrictive to get guns, maybe Nicholas wouldn't have got this gun, and maybe that this would have been harder for him, and maybe there wouldn't have been as many deaths, or maybe this would have happened at all. Maybe. A lot of maybes there. But what for sure could have been done was that the police that were standing outside should have been preventing this from or protecting people. And this is the problem, right? We had this on the police discussion. Police's job is not to protect people. Police's job is to enforce the law, right? So the problem that we had right there is that there definitely would have been I definitely think half, I think less than half of the deaths. And this could have been actually just initially probably stopped after the first couple of deaths if the police were there to shoot back at him, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He got in the gun. He got in the high school with the AR-15 without question, which is pretty fucking retarded.
My big question still is, how did he get in the school?
Exactly.
We know he got in the school, but I've yet to read a source saying how he got in and what failed to let this kid who was expelled from the high school, who just about everyone in that school knew about, how he got back in the school. Because he had to walk through the school to find a fire alarm and to find a perfect position to open fire on people from.
And how did he get his AR-15 like into the school? Like how not only did he get into the school, he got an AR-15 with him in the school. That's absurd.
That is a retardedly big gun. And so because my school, you can't let people in through the side doors. You have to go to the front office, and I'm pretty sure that's for like protection or whatever. And I think that's a good protocol, whatever. It's a little bit annoying, but worth it, right? So I'm wondering how he I don't know if he walked through the front. Again, I don't think this information has come out yet because I haven't seen anything. I don't know if he walked through the front office or anything, but no one saw him with like a big ass fucking backpack and been like, "Hey, that's a firearm."
Like a duffel bag. I mean,
yeah,
you don't hide an AR-15 in your school backpack. You don't throw it over your back like PUBG style. Like you have to have a duffel bag or like a tennis bag or like something very large and noticeable to get that into the school. He didn't have a custom build your own AR-15 kit in his backpack. He brought the gun into the school. That's just ridiculous to me.
And he had like bullets with him and everything. He had more than just the firearm with him. He had stuff ready to go.
He came ready.
Yeah.
And so that's point one on the protection, like on not of the execution of not protecting the students. Point two was whenever he actually started shooting, no one was there to stop him. The three officers were outside letting it happen. And the officers should be in there trying to take him down, is what I'm saying.
And I think that people will jump on us and call that, they didn't want to lose their lives, and that's fair. People have a fear of death, but
no one wants to lose their life. The students don't want to lose their fucking lives. You're armed.
Fair enough. Like
you're trained and you're armed.
If you're a police officer, you should be trained and you should know that you are on the front line of duty and that it is your job to protect the people that you are basically bound to. They were police officers of that county. It is their duty to protect the citizens of that county.
Again, the problem is that it's really not their duty. Because the protocol is to enforce the law, not to protect people. They don't have any obligation to protect anybody.
So it's an interesting dynamic there that when a cop shoots someone, the argument is, I was fearing for my life.
Yeah.
But when a cop doesn't take action and shoot someone, he was fearing for his life. Which one is more viable than the other?
It's
there?
just whatever's subjective to the so I just think that's incredibly fucking disgusting, honestly.
So
like that people like radicalizing and like I guess putting the spin on. Basically, cops always get the short end of the stick because it sounds like we've been like ratting on these cops for not doing their job, and that's fair. There was a failure on their part; they didn't do their job. But either way, the cops still have no good media portrayal ever because they either killed someone and people jump on them for that, or they didn't kill someone and they jump on them for that.
So I want to play a little devil's advocate or I guess against my own argument. I don't know if that's the way you use that word. I'm fucking retarded.
No, that's fine.
So like I give the cops shit for not doing this, right? But right things happen all the time. A lot of people want to act like school shootings aren't prevented all the time. They are. They're prevented like a fucking lot. And I know that cops do the right thing. I mean, I don't know if I can say most of the time. There's always problems with every case, whatever. But like I mean, there's good ones out there, and protocols are followed. I'm saying it happens too much. I'm not saying it doesn't happen most of the time where they're executed right. But where it's executed wrongly, it's too much.
I didn't read too much about this, but all around right now there's stuff popping up and people are getting arrested because people are actually taking all these red flags and warning signs seriously for once. And the thing with preventing these mass shootings is there's almost always signs on this character of what they're about to do. And the people who are close to them or who are familiar with this person know and can prevent it. They have to take action and report it. Like when they did report things to the FBI or when the cops came to his house so often. You know, he should not have had weapons because the warning signs were all there that this was someone who was unstable.
Yeah, now, again, this jumps back into another topic that we sort of, like, glossed over whenever we had this previous discussion, but then the question becomes how much surveillance is too much? Like, are you actually trying, like, too hard to identify someone as, like, mentally unstable? Because there's a myriad of problems that could accompany that issue. Like,
again, a lot of gray area. Because I could make a joke about it, and it could be, like, very, very obviously a joke. And I'm a firm believer in you can joke about anything, and you can tell when someone's trying to be funny and when someone's has like malicious intent behind what they're saying. And I can make a joke about something and get arrested for that. And like
terroristic threats. That's how people at my school are out right now.
Yeah,
for
like
making
I could have my
passing remarks about this and getting accused of terroristic threats. They're all expelled now.
I could have my whole life ruined off of a joke that I made.
Yeah, I mean, like if you. The problem nowadays becomes if they're parsing through so much meaningless data. So I'll back up. So say the NSA is like now surveying everything so much more closely. They're looking for everyone's comments to look for signs for like a potential shooter. That's fair. They're trying to figure out who is mentally unstable and how can we prevent these tragedies, which could have a noble intent. But now if you're looking at everything that everyone's saying, that's not going to make this issue any better. You're just going to have more like useless data to go through. It's going to be harder to find the real shooters if you're just trying to look through everything that everyone says.
Which is why I think
I think that's the complete wrong direction to go. I'm going to be really sorry.
That's what I'm saying. I
do not like the NSA. I don't think the NSA is needed. I'm saying that everyone knew about this character and what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Kids who were interviewed on the scene said, yeah, we all expected that from him. No one was surprised. It's not that the NSA caught him or anything. It's that people close to him knew and reported it, and it was never taken seriously enough. I don't think the FBI apologizing is enough. I want to see people fired for that shit.
Yeah,
the one officer who stood outside the school and resigned. Good. I think the problem here is like what we've been saying. There's a lack of enforcement. It's not that we need to survey people more. It's not that we need more laws.
I don't think
the things in place need to be enforced better, and people need to take their shit serious.
You shouldn't be focusing on prevention. I'm saying I think you should be focusing on protection. Like again, the same thing with the police shooting. Police standing out there. I'm using it kind of as an example. Like I guess you can use the same argument for the NSA and everything like that. Don't focus on the prevention. Focus on what's happening right there. I don't think you can prevent any tragedies, really. I think you can do your best. I think you can like raise the gun control law to 21, do whatever like that. But at the end of the day, bad people are going to do bad shit. And what you need to do is protect the people that aren't doing bad shit.
Think about it like this. So how many times have you seen the stereotypical good guy who says, I'm going to prevent all bad things from happening, and it ends up he just makes everything worse? Like that really stereotypical example of someone trying to make everything perfect so that nothing bad ever happens again. You're really like stereotypical dystopia. That's the kind of thing that we move towards if we become a surveillance state in that essence. Like,
we all agree that we don't want a surveillance state. We just want, when crimes are reported, people to take action on it.
Yeah. So now, here's the line that I'm going to draw. This is just me personally. I'm not talking about protection as in now we must arm all teachers and we must arm all police officers better to deal with this. We're talking about, or at least to my mind, what I think we're talking about right now is there needs to be better execution on the protocols that are in place right now. So it's not even necessarily about do better surveillance so you can find more people. That's not the suggestion we're talking about. You need to execute on the people, and I'm not talking about execute as in kill, just like execute on the operation of finding people who are potential threats, actually perform better research to finding out who is actually a threat, and stop it. That's the thing that needs to happen. It's not about more protocols and surveying more people. It's about doing better on the people that you know are current threats.
Yeah, so it's just...
And again, I don't think this is about going out and looking for the next school shooter. I think school shooters are an extremely rare breed. I mean, just look at it. They're not that common given the amount of kids in schools in the U.S., you know? The problem is that when they are there are signs about them that people close to them can pick up on, or that the school, knows this person is a threat. That's why they expelled him. And then somehow the police visit his house 39 times and he still has guns, There's like a point where you got to draw a line and be like, okay, kid, you're going to jail now. This is too much.
Which I know people are thinking whenever you say that is that when school shooters are in a rare breed, that we have the most school shooters out of anybody in the world. And I hate to say this because it sounds so fucking stupid, but it's almost like it's a trend for serial killers. Like
it is. No, it is. And look at the media and how the media portrays this stuff.
And other countries have other different serial killer trends or whatever. If you go look at there, it's not like an uncommon thing. And whenever you say it's a rare breed, I know people are gonna say it like,
it's a trend, but it's still a rare breed of people.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like killers are not like 90% of the world or anything ridiculous like that. They're an extremely rare kind of people, and there are always signs about them that people can detect. And I know hindsight is 20/20, but I think when someone reports a crime, it needs to be taken somewhat seriously, especially if there are multiple reports coming in. I'm not saying arrest him on the spot, have an investigation, do something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I just so much incompetence up at the highest level. But Chris, we're kind of walking in circles now. Let's branch in. The mic fell.
The mic fell, boys.
Let's branch into the next topic. Well, the next subtopic here.
Let's.
Should we arm teachers?
Oh, okay. The subtopic.
Okay, so I'm gonna start this one off with.
Hold on, let me fix this mic real quick.
The hardest task of the entire time.
Hold on, let me fix this mic. You guys are gonna.
We're gonna have to cut that there.
We're gonna have to cut
really
it.
Noisy.
Okay. I think that's good. Mic's good. Mic's good, boys.
All right.
Podcast is on.
So we're going to move on to the next little subtopic. This is still related to the shooting, but this is another little subtopic that we need to address while we're here, and that is, should we arm teachers? Here's my answer.
Okay.
No. No. The answer is very clearly no.
Okay. So here's interesting things, right? I don't even know why this argument was thought of in the first place. I don't know who thought of it, but it's just so obscure.
But if you arm the teachers, the school shooters won't be able to kill anybody, right?
I'm saying it's not the worst idea.
Let's say the school
but
cop.
Why?
Let's say the school cop actually went in the school, and he burst through the doorway there, and there are five grown men holding guns, pointing down the hallway. Very difficult situation there for the police officer.
Yeah.
Which one is the school shooter, guys? All these teachers are armed now, and they're all pointing guns at each other.
I think it's a dumb idea for two reasons. That on those situations where like you don't know who's like if you walk outside, say you're an armed citizen of the United States of America, and you have a concealed weapon on you, right? And these two people run out of a convenience store. One of them's running away and has a gun, and the other one has a gun and is shooting at them. You don't know which one's the good guy. Like you don't know who to shoot at because they both have guns. One of them's running away. You don't know.
No.
Like so you take no action.
Yeah.
Like that should be what's happening. You should take no action. You should only use a concealed weapon if you're defending yourself.
That should be a part of any basic training course. That
Yeah.
if there is a situation, you shouldn't charge into it. Guns going. You should take a minute and try to evaluate the situation, figure out what's going on. I'm going to be honest and say I don't agree with the idea of arming teachers because I think there's so much room for error there. But I do see the merit in the argument and the point that they're trying to make that there's a lot of incompetence up in the system. So why don't we just fucking defend ourselves, right? That's what the Second Amendment is all about.
I still personally think that idea is just moronic because think about it like this. Who are you going to arm in an elementary school? Are the kindergarten teachers going to have guns? Just think of how ridiculously absurd this entire topic can blow up to become in an instant. If I'm giving my personal opinion, the answer to this question, should teachers have guns, is a resounding no. And it's not just because we shouldn't have to give teachers gun training. That just radically changes the dynamic in schools. Now people think that school is essentially a prison where you're trying to stop the bad guys. I personally think that making that the mindset and making that like the mindset that students have, knowing that their teachers have guns, the students aren't going to feel safer. They're going to think, my teacher has a gun. What if my teacher walks out of the room and some kid takes the teacher's gun?
Okay, yeah. That's what I was going to get into before Chris interrupted me because he's now
Robbie the podcast.
Chris is now tired of being interrupted, so he's interrupting both Caleb and I.
Fight the system, fight the power.
So yeah, that's a problem. Like honestly, if legislation does pass that teachers should have firearms, there should be no training programs saying all teachers need to have a gun course or anything. If anything, I think if you're going to do that, it needs to be lifting up like a gun-free school zone kind of thing and just letting teachers who want to carry their gun on campus to have their gun on campus concealed and no one knows. That's what I think it should do. But there's still so much room for error in that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what if a teacher's got a gun in his class and a fuckhead student finds it and thinks it's funny and tries to play games with it? Because you know that's what's going to happen if we give teachers weapons, that it's going to be misplaced somewhere and some stupid-ass kid's going to get a hold of it and think he's funny. You know? You already know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it'd be even worse if you get, like Chris was saying, kindergartners involved. Those kids, they're still watching Eddie Eagle videos and they don't understand stop, don't touch yet. You know? There's so much problems with the argument. Bare minimum, I think if that's gonna happen, what needs to happen is it just needs to be like a thing where it's just where schools are just treated like anything else in America, where people have guns, but you don't know which ones do, and whatever, you know. And teachers who do have guns should be trained not to run out into the hallways playing hero, but instead to just sit in their classroom with their students and wait, you know? Like, if anything, it should be like a last minute kind of thing where, like, if the gunman is able to get into the door or through the school, get in the classroom thing, then the teacher uses his firearms. But even then, you know in the moment in the situation there's going to be people who don't do that, and then the cops, when they get in the school, are going to shoot them, you know?
Yeah. So I'm personally interested in Robbie's take, and I kind of want to hear Caleb's as well. So my personal take on this situation is that we don't need to focus on this issue from the teacher side of the problem. I mostly agree with Caleb that this has more to do with the not like the prevention aspect, but the execution aspect. So this issue falls more squarely on the shoulders of cops and on those surveying. So I'm not talking about more spies. We already talked about this. I'm talking about you have to do better on threats that have already been identified. Teachers are not the solution to this problem.
No, they are. Also, there was...
Jesus fucking Christ! No,
Sorry.
no.
Just last little thing. There was an incident just a few days ago where a teacher in the school had a gun and there was some kind of shooting. I haven't read too much into it, but that's something that would become more common. Go ahead, Caleb.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk.
No. I'm interested. So what do you think? What's your take on this little micro segment? Like, what is your answer? What is your solution?
Okay. Teachers shouldn't be armed. Teachers shouldn't be armed. I think that is a stupid thing to do. Okay, I gotta fix this mic again. Okay. Teachers shouldn't be armed. That is a stupid thing. I don't know. I just don't know why that was thought of. Honestly, it's just so obscure. Again, the problem lies in protection, and that's really all I gotta say. The problem, the officers should have been there. We don't have to arm teachers if the officers are in the school fighting back. Because we already have people that are armed, ready to defend the school, ready to defend the students. So, that's not where the problem lies. Pretty fucking stupid if you think teachers should be armed. All I'm saying. I know that back in the olden times, we used to have spankings, and so I don't.
Get me that paddle.
Can you fucking not shoot my children for punishments?
And again, I think really the problem is that we keep saying arming teachers as if we're gonna treat teachers like a trained military, and that's just so much stress and scary stuff. Which honestly, I'm afraid that is what would try to get passed. Bare minimum, what should happen, like I've been saying, is just the teachers who already have concealed handgun licenses just get to carry on campus and no one knows. But even then, there's so much room for that to go bad that it's not even a good idea at the end of the day. We can all agree that teachers should not have weapons on campus because of the problems that would cause.
Yeah.
And again, there needs to be better enforcement in the protections that is supposed to be already there. I'm losing my train of thought here.
All right, so before
Robbie
spazzes out and loses his entire train of thought, we're going to enter our final subtopic on this section, and we are actually.
It should just be the whole podcast, honestly, just for us shooting.
So yeah, even if that is what it ends up being, we've got one more big subtopic that I know we want to hit, and this is going to take a while. The radicalization and the political agendas that have arisen out of this tragedy, as with all other tragedies, including but not limited to both sides of the spectrum, abusing and using the students who had to exit this horrible tragedy, and they were being used as basically political puppets to talk about what each side wanted them to say. Ridiculous. What a world, what a country we live in. You want to talk about that, Caleb?
Yeah, I do. I want to say that your sentence that you just said made me fall asleep. And I also want to say that the students have no idea what they're doing. They act like...
No, they don't. They've been taken out of this traumatic situation, put on the world stage, and they're expected to talk about...
They're on the adrenaline of just 15 minutes of fame.
Also, CNN is kind of holding their hand and being like, oh, hey, do this town hall thing. And
fucking assholes, dude.
I mean, I know that these kids have good intentions, but they're kids. We're kids.
But they don't know what they're doing, and
I wouldn't want to be put on the world stage and have to talk about all of this stuff. I like just being able to talk about it with my peers and do this podcast here. But kids like Emma Gonzalez, David Hogg, whatever.
Is that the bald bitch?
Yeah, that's the bald bitch, the one who's screaming and ranting and raving.
She
and
pisses
crying.
me off.
I don't want to say that I hate her because I don't. I hate her. I just disagree with most of what she has to say politically, and I want to keep it at just that.
No,
I'm more angry at what media is doing by putting these kids on a platform and expecting us to listen to everything they have to say and agree with them, or else we're all hateful people, and we wanted those kids to die because that's the narrative right now.
It's just exploitation.
That's all it is.
Of these kids.
Exploitation.
And not only is it gross, but I'm pretty sure I would not be friends with any of these students if they're in my school because they're all fucking annoying.
I can tell I wouldn't be friends with them either. But
they're annoying. I've seen videos of them outside of the school because
that's not what matters is whether or not we'd be friends with them.
No,
Caleb.
I'm not saying that, but I do want to say that I would not be friends with any of them. So that is what I'm saying.
Okay.
But okay.
Very important part of the topic. Caleb and Robbie wouldn't be their friends. IRL. Hot take.
But I'm just saying
that doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
I'm just saying they're annoying.
Okay.
They're annoying, and I don't think they're. I don't think. What am I fucking saying? I don't even know what I'm saying. They're annoying and they're stupid. I feel like a fucking chimp right now.
Okay, so
I'm sick. I'm sick. Okay, I have a cold and my brain is inflamed.
Yeah,
and I am not.
Both of these have inflamed brains right now. So I'm gonna make this.
I'm trying to get Caleb
okay.
to make a point.
Okay. No. I'll take it away from him right now.
My brain is inflamed.
Okay,
it's not my fault.
While his brain is inflamed, I want to personally say that I think that it's kind of nasty that there's also scripts about what these people are saying. To me, that's just the worst part. Now, I know a major media outlet. I understand from like a distribution perspective. What if someone just says something like absurd and crazy on air live?
Did you see the actors?
No.
The actors for they had like a little ceremony, for like, and they have like child death actors like that are up there acting as witnesses and stuff like that. Like.
Caleb, this is some InfoWars shit. What are you talking about, Caleb?
I'm for real. Like,
David Hogg is not an actor. Please don't say that.
What?
Are you talking about the crisis actors conspiracy right now? What are you talking
It's
about?
not a conspiracy. He's been in multiple like, or like the actors have been in multiple like multiple things.
Elaborate.
Okay, I'll have to look this up or something like that. I don't want to say some detailed shit because I don't really remember. My brain is inflamed, but I was like confirming to myself that there were actors in the CNN thing, and this is not a.
Who are the actors? Who are the actors?
Okay. I don't know because my brain is inflamed.
No, like were these the kids from the Florida shooting, or you're typing into Google right now?
Yes, I am. I am typing.
Are we talking
Google.
about Sandy Hook being a false flag? This is some InfoWars shit.
No.
Yeah, you looked up.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay.
Give me a second.
So, I'm really sidetracked right now, Caleb. Oh yeah. Okay, what I wanted to say while Caleb is looking stuff up. Again, I disagree with these kids, and I understand where they're coming from. Something that made me really, really mad right now is that the GoFundMe for the marches that they're starting, which aren't going to accomplish anything, by the way. If you want to know why marches don't accomplish anything, let's look at the Science March and the Women's March of 2017 and 2016 and how ineffective those were entirely. But right now we have March for Our Lives, I think is what it's called, that these kids are starting. That's making a lot of money on GoFundMes and stuff. Mm-hmm. But actual GoFundMes for the victims of the tragedy, the families who lost their loved ones.
They're barely making any money at all. And that's the worst part about it, is in this entire situation, the agendas that are being created from this entire situation, they're just drowning out the tragedy itself. The tragedy is no longer becoming a tragedy. It's becoming a political movement. And that's the worst part about things like this. Like, so people will say that, well, think about all the other major events in history. A tragedy sparked major political movements. Fine, you have a fair point on that one. But all that I'm trying to say is that, especially to what Robbie's point was, the families and the people who are directly affected by this shooting are being drowned out. They're essentially white noise in this now hotly charged political debate. And that's sad. It's depressing.
And this goes on both sides, actually. We have David Hogg, Emma Gonzalez, the other two kids, I don't remember what their fucking names are, being paraded around by CNN. Mm-hmm. Fox News has their own champion right now. I forget his name, but he's this, like, bulky white kid, wears all camo. He went on Fox News and he said that he didn't go to the CNN town hall because CNN wanted him to script his own whatever his questions.
Okay.
But then he photoshopped his dad photoshopped emails from CNN and basically spun a narrative that isn't even true. And I've done research into this. I can't fully recite everything. You can look it up yourself. But what he's saying is that CNN took all of his questions that he had written and was trying to manipulate them and change what they're supposed to be. But CNN actually didn't do that. They just told him, ask one question, not six,
Okay.
And he had lied about that process, and Fox News was parading him around like, oh, look, fake news CNN. Oh, it made me so mad because I like sticking it to CNN. I fucking hate CNN. I also hate Fox News, but God, the fact that these people have to lie to make CNN look bad makes me so angry every time.
I just looked up the actors thing. And they're all focusing on David Hogg. The thing that I read wasn't on David Hogg. It was on like surrounding actors, of like that were there but weren't like talking or something like that. But there were people there that didn't have anything to do with the shooting. Basically, they were supposed to be acting like they were sad or something. It was something like that. I can't find what I was talking about, but all I can find is CNN articles on David Hogg.
You pulled up CNN articles. I think you want to go read some InfoWars articles there, Caleb.
No, I can't remember, but I just wanted to. I wanted to bring that up or something like that. But okay, I wanted to say
it's not fake news entirely that when a crisis happens that there's
It's
some
manipulative
manipulation
news.
happening.
It's manipulative news, but that's with everything.
With like a BLM march a while back, CNN was interviewing their cameraman for what the march was about or something instead of actually interviewing one of the marchers.
Yeah,
But
it's manipulative news, and this isn't an uncommon thing.
I want to stay as far away from the crisis actors thing as possible. Please.
Okay, I wasn't talking about the actual students like that are on camera.
Okay, thank you.
Well, they're on camera, but they're not like being interviewed. Like David Hogg and the students that they're like puppeting or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that those are crisis actors because that's a dumb thing to say.
Also, let's talk about the fact that these students using their social media now, instead of trying to promote these political changes, they're just attacking the NRA at this point. Just any company that slightly has any relationship with the
tweets.
NRA, they have to now boycott the NRA and not do anything with the NRA.
You notice that there's no arguments of what they say. They'll quote tweet something and say, "Oh, what about the fucking children that just died?"
Yeah.
It's a pathetic attempt.
It's agree with me or you wanted those kids to die, bigot.
It's fucking sad, really.
Yeah, I think that as we've already mentioned before, and as we've kind of insinuated earlier, this entire issue is more nuanced than just gun control. And the NRA looks like the bad supervillain who masterminded this shooting, which is absolutely not
What are you
true. It's just
talking
it's a
about?
narrative. That's what people are saying. They're saying that
no one said that. No one said the
NRA is a terrorist organization.
Why did you do that? Why did you fucking do that? do you see? Oh no. Do you see the mic feed? What just happened right there?
Yeah, I just saw that. That's what I was trying to do.
Why did you do that?
Because I think it was funny.
Okay, so back on track before Caleb screams about mic quality. So what I'm saying is that
I
everybody
want our
is,
listeners' ears to not bleed. Is
Okay.
that a sin?
yes. So okay, listen. What I
Speak
said.
into your
my
microphone. Speak into your goddamn
My
microphone.
statement was a hyperbole. So you have to understand that people are villainizing the NRA extremely heavily. They're making it seem like the NRA is the reason why the shooting happened, and that's not the case. There were a lot of other factors than the National Rifle Association, but people are blaming them almost chiefly, and it's bullshit. It's really annoying.
It is important to note that the NRA does have lobbying powers over Congress and does pay people who do their politics. But so does literally any company that has political
but that's
interest.
no argument against
Anyone accepts
that.
donations for something that they want to agree with.
Yeah, I know, and that's just corruption.
It is corruption. Yeah, and there's a problem there. But it's not solely the NRA's fault for that either. They're just getting called out because of this one tragedy.
Yeah.
It is a problem. I do agree. And I don't like it, but the
I mean,
NRA
at least
is
they're
not a terrorist organization.
At
They're
least they're
not
getting called out, is what I'm saying. Because
Yeah.
I've always been against like this corruption and like lobbyist shit, and
Yeah,
and,
I
like,
hate lobbying, too.
and the parties system, and just all this fucking bullshit.
And I'm glad we're confronting it, but we need to confront it reasonably and not, like Chris is saying, argue with hyperbole and narratives and agendas and shit. Because oh my god, that's how you don't do anything. That's how nothing gets changed.
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
you're gonna radicalize people more, and there's gonna be more people signing up for the NRA in support of it because of this situation. And then there's gonna be people who are now just gonna avoid anything to do with it, and nothing's gonna change. We need to start meeting in the middle and stop fucking dividing ourselves.
God, I feel like shit, dude. Like my body is rejecting action. I don't want to do anything.
Well, that I feel like that has absolutely nothing to do with our
No,
podcast.
I'm just saying, like right now, what I feel like is I don't feel like talking about guns because I want to not talk.
Well, then I guess that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna not talk. So thank you guys for watching this episode of the Spaz Out podcast.
No, that's good.
Yeah, that's a wrap. We've already talked about this topic for 45 minutes, Robbie. We're in there.
Yeah, we've
so
been on it.
I guess I want to wrap this up. So let's close this off. So we've talked about a lot of different stuff involving this entire situation. I know.
Robbie is sweating.
Robbie is sweating. Thank you guys for watching. Okay, but in all seriousness, we here at Spaz Out would also like to hear what you guys have to say about this topic. So if you're
talking like we're an organization.
we are.
We here,
donate to the Spaz Out
we here
charity
at Spaz
podcast.
Chris, stop sucking the audience's dick, Chris. Stop sucking their dicks.
Us here at Spaz Out would like to say these are our closing statements on on our recent Spaz Out episode.
Your mom.
Okay, but is there anything we missed? Is there any topics that we needed to get to?
Even if we missed it, we've been talking for 45 minutes. Jesus fucking
It's probably
Christ.
in the deleted episode, honestly, which we're
Okay.
gonna post somewhere else, and people will get to watch that somewhere. We'll link to it.
It was all a marketing scam to promote the secret hidden episode that no one will have access to.
We also talked about Nintendo in the deleted episode.
Yeah, that sucked. Don't watch that part.
We talked about the school shooting for 30 minutes, then we talked about Nintendo. And that was just Caleb ranting about how much
a Smash and how Nintendo's a bad company.
Anyways,
Nintendo
we're getting
is a
off
shit
topic
company.
there. I'm exhausted. I'll be honest.
I am.
This has been a conversation that's taken a lot out of us. But I feel we
Mental
did
anguish.
good today. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Chris, you want to close us out again? The people want to hear from you.
Go outside. Everybody go outside that's listening.
Everybody, go outside, enjoy your day, and don't take anything for granted. Don't listen to bullshit political agendas.
Chris is my
that you
dad. Can we get some Chris is my dad in the comments?
Can we get some Dad Chris in the comments below? No, but in all seriousness, I guess the main takeaway from this entire situation is don't listen to BS radicalized agendas. Think for yourself. In situations where there's a mass tragedy, don't boil it down to one issue because almost every time there's way more than just one thing going on in the situation. And yeah, just don't be a sheep. Think for yourself. I'm not saying buy into one side or the other because I personally don't identify with either because both are stupid. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for us. What do you want to say, handsome, talented, good at everything host?
Thank you, Father Chris.
You're welcome, my children.